Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jamie and I tinker about with my own cars. Anyway, I haven't made a video for quite a while, but here I am, and something a little bit different. I bought this Land Rover Discovery 3 from my good friend Santeri a couple of weeks ago, and it has a problem, as expected with Land Rover Discoveries. I've heard they're not the most reliable cars, but it's a very cool car. Well, I think so anyway. So the problem we're going to be tackling today is, I don't know if you can see in the picture, but it is awfully low for a Land Rover. And it's not supposed to be this low, obviously. Now, these cars have air suspension, and what they are is they are basically like rubber bags that fill with air, and they raise or lower the car. And over time, the bags can split, and of course then it leaks and deflates. These have a compressor in the system which pumps up the pressure into the bags to raise or lower via a switch inside. And what happens is, if the system has a leak, then the compressor is always trying to get the pressure up and constantly runs, and it can burn out the compressor. That's not the case here. I think I've caught it in good time, and if you can see, let's have a walk around. So, as you can see, this front right wheel is right in the weeds. The rear, I think, maybe compressed a little bit because all the weight is down on the front here. And then if we look on the other side, this corner is also a little bit low, not as bad as the other side, and this side looks good, but again it could be because all the weight, because that right front is deflated, then it could be tilting like that. So how do I determine the source of the leak? Well, that's the difficult part, and I have, while doing my research to fix this, I've learnt a bit about the system, that you can have a leak in many different parts. You can have the actual shock, like I said, the bag can split and leak. It could be a pipe feeding each bag. It could be a valve that directs air to different corners of the car. One of those could be stuck. And of course, you could have a leak in the compressor chamber, anything like that. So what am I going to do? What did I do to find out where the leak is? Well, I got some soapy water, just some fairy liquid mixed with some water, and I sprayed it on where I thought the leak was coming from. I suspected it was one of the air shocks. So I basically sprayed the soapy water around the shock, and I could see a bubbling of air leaking out from this front right shock where it is at its lowest. So I know for sure that that is a problem. There might be another problem, but we're going to tackle that first. So on the table here, I have two brand new air shocks for the front. The back ones are on order, but today I'm going to tackle these because I can't actually drive the car at the moment. So these are huge big beasts, and I don't know if you can see, but basically there's a big rubber, like inner tube airbag in there, actually from the bottom there, and that inflates and deflates, and this goes up and down to raise and lower the car. So the first thing I'm going to do is jack up the front of the car, remove the front wheels, and start dismantling the front shocks. It looks like quite a simple procedure, so let's get to it. So first of all, I have loosened the wheel nuts while the wheels are still on the floor. I'm going to jack up the front of the car and put it on axle stands, remove the wheels. Okay, so remember, I've never actually worked on one of these cars before. Complete novice to these. So first off, I'm just jacked up the car, put it on stands. It's actually really nice on these because they have like a big chassis rail that runs the full length of the car, so easy to find a place to put the jack stands. I already loosened the wheel nuts, 23mm socket. So let's get these wheels off. Okay, so with the wheel off, we can have a good inspection of everything else. You know, I can check my brakes. Discs look like they could do with replacing, so I'll put some of those on order. Pads, I will change those at the same time. Again, they look like they need to be changed. Quite a bit of surface rust under here. That will be to do with the salt they use on the roads here in Finland. This is such big chunky chassis, so it's not a problem, like nothing's rusted through or anything. So let's get back to the suspension. So here you can see there's like a height adjustment sensor that basically sends a reading via this switch sensor. So these go up and down and it tells the vehicle how high or low it is. So you can calibrate that, and you will need to calibrate this after changing the shocks. And here we have the ginormous air shock. So yesterday when I was looking for the leak, I basically sprayed the soapy water around this area and at the top here, and it was bubbling actually on this metal area. So it's like the metal has corroded all the way through, it seems. I don't know, but the bubbles were coming from there. So we basically have at the top here 3 nuts that need to be removed, and that black pipe there is a plastic pipe that is the airline feed to inflate the shock. And simply down the bottom here we have 1 bolt going through holding the bottom. So what I'm going to do first is spray some penetrating fluid on here. I'm using this rusty rear, so we'll just spray this on the bolts. This is like WD-40, you know, so I'm going to spray these on the bolts, both sides, let it soak in. So if we take a look at the top of the shock, you'll see these 3 points here is how it's held on at the top, on the top mount. So there's just 3 nuts that go on there, and then you see this little brass fitting here. That is where the airline feed connects into. Now, to remove the old shock, you have to unscrew this brass fitting and it will come off. But when you refit it, this is the clever bit, is that you remove the old brass fitting, and then all you need to do is, it's a push fitting, so you just push the pipe into there until it beds, and then it will lock into place. So no fiddling trying to do this brass nut up when you reinstall. So this just pulls out, and then you don't have to do anything to it. You just push the new fitting in. This is already tightened up and you're good to go. Okay, so here's a tip for you that I saw on one of the other YouTube videos when I was researching how to do this, is remove the oil filler cap and remove this dust cover, this one here. That just pulls off. It's got 4 little poppers, and the hardest to get to nut on the top of the shock is actually accessible from the engine bay. So I don't know if you can see, down there is the hard to get to bolt, and you can actually see the air feed line there as well. So it does make life a little bit more easier. It's a bit harder to get to on the right hand side, but I've just put an extension on my socket and just managed to get it on there. Penetrating fluid is just doing its magic, and you need a 15mm socket or spanner to remove the top ones. Okay, so it's a good idea to place a jack underneath to take the weight when you are removing these top bolts, because it will drop down and you don't want it to snag your plastic airline. So you can see that in there now. I need to undo that brass fitting somehow, and then the bottom bolt, and then this will come out. They were quite hard to remove because they were quite rusty, so I had to work them backwards and forwards, but they came off okay. And the rear one that is harder to get to was so much easier to be able to get it from the engine bay. Okay, now that air pipe has been disconnected, I used a combination of 3 12mm spanners with slightly different head angles just to be able to wiggle that thing out. Why they put it at the back there, I really don't know. They could have put it at the front for easy access. Also, this stud here is in the way, so you can't quite crank the spanner, but I got it off in the end. But yeah, I don't know why it's at the back. Because we have so much salt on the roads in the winter in Finland, this is what we end up with, this corrosion. If everybody drove a 4x4, then we wouldn't need to use so much salt, would we now? But anyway, this bolt here, or this nut here, is actually a 24mm, and it is rock solid on there due to rust, I guess. So I'm going to use this handy little machine. It is a Power Adduction 10R by Gurus. I can't remember the full name of the company. Is it just GYS? Made in France. This is an amazing thing. So you just basically have this coil, and then you place it over your rusty nut, push the button, and it works its magic and heats up the nut. And hopefully the heat will break down all the rust, and it will come off. Wow, that was actually very stubborn. I got a 22mm socket on here with a big breaker bar. I managed to break it loose and then spun it off with a gun, and it's finally free. So I'll just pull this bolt out and then I can remove this whole shock. It's always good practice when you are replacing parts is to check the old component with the new one that you're replacing it with. Make sure it is the right piece for the job. So let's turn this around. So the lengths are the same. It pretty much looks identical. So if we look on the old shock, you will see that it's dated, and it is dated the 6th of the 3rd month, 2006. So my car is from 2006. So these, it seems, would be the original ones. So they have lasted 19 years. That isn't bad, is it? I mean, a lot of people think that air ride suspension is unreliable because of leaks and everything, and obviously things can go wrong, but these have shown the test of time. So let's get this new one on, shall we, and stop talking about it. Okay, so one thing I need to do before we progress is I need to remove this old brass fitting. There is a little collar here, and it has a split in it that if I just turn it around with mine now, so I just need to prop a screwdriver in there, widen it up and then pop it off, and then this fitting will also come off as well. Okay, so there you can clearly see there's a little split in that collar or olive, and I just widened it with the flat-headed screwdriver and slid it off, and the fitting followed. If you look at the airline that plumbs into the top of the shock, you'll see that there's like this little bulge there about an inch up from the bottom, and what you want to do is when you slide this into the new shock, that little collar thing needs to be just a few millimeters away from the top of the brass fitting, so you know it's completely seated. So basically you just slide this in, the new collar will grab hold of it and it's not going to go anywhere. Bit of a token gesture, but I just cleaned it with a wire brush and put some of this underbody coating on. It's not going to stop it in the long run, but it's better than nothing, I guess, and I just couldn't help myself. Okay, so let's see how this goes. So I just maneuvered it into position and I put this bolt through there holding it up. I'll get some long nose pliers and remove that little bung from where the hose goes into, and then I've put the jack underneath here. I'll lift it up, get this a little bit closer, try and push that hose into its place, jack it up all the rest of the way and put the nuts on, and job done. Well, that was a lot easier than I expected. That pipe just pushes in there really nicely, and I just tried to pull it out a little bit just to make sure it located, and it has. I can't quite get it on camera, but believe me, it's like that little collar thing is a few millimeters from the top of the brass fitting, and then I've jacked it up the rest of the way, and now I just need to put those nuts on the top, tighten this nut at the bottom, and this side should be done. So installation was a lot easier than taking it out, but it's just because it's fiddly to get to these nuts, that's all it is. Okay, so the 3 nuts are in place, and I thought I'd share this with you. So the nut that you can get to in the engine bay, I've used this like wobbly end because it's a little bit of an angle, and these things are really handy. So that's kind of essential really, and a couple of extensions. So I'll tighten these 3 nuts up, and the bottom nut on this side is done. Okay, so the right hand side is done. I'll now get on with the other side. I only have the 2 front ones at the moment. Like I said, the back ones are on order, so I will eventually change them as well, especially now I know that these were original. It could be likely that the rear ones are too, and it's good practice to change them anyway, I think. So before I even start it up to check for leaks, I think I'm going to change this other side as well, because one thing to bear in mind is that if there is any pressure in here when you undo this brass fitting, there might be some air leakage, so just be aware of that. Okay, so on the left hand side front, it seems that this may not have had a leak, and it's still full of pressure. So I have undone the top 3 nuts, but it hasn't dropped down, because last time on the other side this thing just dropped down because it was completely flat. So what I've done is I've put the jack underneath the bottom of the shock to kind of catch it, and I'm going to remove this lower bolt, and then the shock should drop down just enough for me to start undoing the air feed pipe, and it will release the pressure. Well, that's what I'm hoping anyway. Marvelous! So look, the jack caught the bottom of the shock, and it's dropped down just enough so I can now reach in there and undo the air pipe, and it hasn't snagged it at all. It's just the right amount, so it didn't pull on the pipe or damage it. So now the fiddliest part of the job is getting that off. Not sure if you can hear that, but it's leaking air. So as I suspected, this actually was airtight, this shock. So that's just bleeding off. I'm aware that there are some fuses you can remove, or you can put an OBD reader in and put it into like a service mode, so it release the air pressure from the shocks before you do this job. But the air is leaking out so slowly, and it's not dangerous at all, so I don't really see the problem with doing this. Maybe there'll be a problem later, but we'll find out. Okay, so there we have it. Both front shocks are changed. I'll do the rear ones at a later date. But first, we must see if it actually works and there's no leaks. So as you can see, it's on the floor. No air in the front shocks, so that's why it's sitting so low. So what I'm going to do now is start it up, see if they fill up, make sure there's no leaks. Let's do it. So there you have it. That is how to change front air shocks. I won't do a video on the back ones because I believe they're pretty much exactly the same as doing the front ones. So if you can do the front ones, you can do the back ones. It was quite slow to go up and down, but I did it a few times because I think it was actually calibrating. But also after you change your shocks, you have to get them calibrated, which means they all have to have the ride height adjusted so they're all the same. I don't have the equipment to do that, but a friend of mine does. So when I change the back ones, I will then calibrate all 4 to the correct ride height. If you like the videos, please like and subscribe, and there'll be more coming soon. Thanks a lot. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you get yours fixed, and until next time, thanks. Bye.